What's up, everybody? Welcome to Make Things Tiny. My name is Mick. New tiny house communities pop up all the time, but I guarantee you the one that we're talking about today is unlike anything you've ever seen or heard of before. We're talking about the Other Side Village that's coming to Salt Lake City. We're talking to the founder and the VP, Camille. They're going to talk to us about their inspiration for this village, what their special focus is in terms of the population that they serve. So make sure you watch to the end so you can get specific tips on how to potentially do this in your own community. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and let's get into it. Let's talk about this brand new tiny house village coming to Salt Lake City. Camille, thank you so much for being on the channel. I appreciate it. I'm excited for people to learn about you and about the Other Side Village. If you don't mind, just to start telling us a little bit about your background, why you decided to work for the Other Side Village, and then we will go from there.
Yes, my background is previous to, actually, I'm one of the founders of the village. So this was a concept that I became interested in when I first visited Community First Village in Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was working for an organization called the Salt Lake City Downtown Alliance, which is a organization like it are in many cities that focuses on improving and helping declining business districts, downtowns that classically in the 80s and 90s, when everybody's moving out to suburbs, they were declining and dying. So our organization was formed in 1993 to help rejuvenate downtown Salt Lake City. And so I spent the last 15 years before that working for the Downtown Alliance, which is also an affiliate of the Salt Lake Chamber, which is Chamber of Commerce, which is the statewide chamber for Utah. And so in the last 10 years of my work there, I focused solely on homelessness. We had, as many downtowns, experience a lot of issues with unsheltered homelessness in their downtown areas. Ours was very much that way. And we have all of our shelter services and homeless services that are just right on the west side of the downtown for virtually the whole state. So we had almost all people who become homeless end up right in our downtown, which, as you can imagine, causes a lot of problems. And so my job as the director of community and business relations, I ended up kind of getting tasked with go do something about that. So that was about as much instruction as I received. Figure out how to solve these issues. And, we had some meetings with different stakeholders and looking at what the issues were with business owners, with service providers, with, the police, with city, with everybody that had something to do with that. And so as an organization, we began starting to really get involved in trying to create solutions to address homelessness, to address the sanitation problems, to address the panhandling, to address the drug abuse, to address the loitering and all the different things that when you have a large homeless population in your business district that cause problems for everyone, for visitors, for the business owners, for property owners. And it's an inhuman way for people to have to live too. So I started to learn about why these things were the way they were. And that was my first attempt at trying to figure out what to do, how I was supposed to do something and fix it, or attempt to fix it. And so I just began to learn about, why things were the way they were, talking with all the different stakeholders, meeting with the service providers, asking, questions about specific issues and why they were doing certain things certain ways. And so through that, I just really learned that what we had to do to fix the problem for the property owners and business owners was fix the problem for the people who were experiencing homelessness. Things were the way they were because we had a broken system where there really was nowhere else for them to go. And, shelters would empty out first thing in the morning, tell everybody to take everything, go way out on the street to get back in at the end of the day. Take all your stuff with you. And so I just really started working on trying to address those issues of appropriate sanitation, providing bathrooms, providing storage for people to keep their things, providing employment programs, providing jobs to actually help clean up the area. because there was no appropriate sanitation for the area either. And so it just started approaching all these different areas that were problems and trying to find solutions and work with different community partners to create ways that we could address those things. And so I spent 10 years working on all that, and still it was always just kind of a drop in the bucket. We made some significant improvements that really did help, but you still have people who are homeless, who are basically have nowhere to go all day except to hang out around town. And so I knew that in order to really make a difference, there was something more that needed to be done. And so I was searching. I just had this gut feeling there was something out there that would make a big difference. I didn't know what it was, but I just, how you have a little inkling of something that just bugs you. It's like, I just know it's there. I got to find it. And so I was actively looking for solutions. And I went to this conference in San Antonio, and we went to a tour of couple different housing projects, and then to the other side, to Community First Village. And it's a tiny home village in Austin, Texas for the chronically homeless. And the founder of that was a developer who really had he's a person of a Christian faith, and he was involved with other people in his church to go out and do outreach on the streets and feed people, make meals. And they created an organization called Mobile Loaves and Fishes. And eventually over time that led to them creating what essentially was an RV park, where they were purchasing RVs and refurbishing them and people off the streets that they would come to know so through their outreach work. And eventually that turned into building tiny homes and then creating this, larger community. His idea grew and grew and kind of morphed into creating this whole village of homes, including both RVs and tiny homes. And then eventually they went to a model that looks more like it's called an RV park model. It's technically an RV, but it looks like a house. And so they grew that village, and people from all over the world come to see it because it's such an innovative approach. And it just somehow, when you see it, it really makes sense. And I was always interested in tiny homes. I mean, I think it's kind of something a lot of people are interested in, and, was looking into those things just for my own interest. But then when I showed up at that tour, I was just immediately blown away by it. I thought, oh, this is what I was looking for. This is it right here. And so I came back home after that visit there, and after that conference was over, I immediately started talking to people that I knew of influence that would be interested in this idea, and we need to do this here in Utah. So I started working on that. Did that for a couple of years. Was working with the mayor. She was on board. I knew her through my work with the Downtown Alliance, and so then COVID happened, and things. We were supposed to take a trip there to see it with the mayor and some city council members, and then so we started having Zoom meetings instead, and we ended up getting involved with inviting a lot of different community partners to come and basically bringing people together to discuss the idea and brainstorm and come up with ideas of how we could approach it. And my friends from the Other Side Academy ended up coming to those meetings and took an interest right away. And after we actually went to and took another tour of the village in Austin, and they went to that as well as some other people and myself, and came back from that, and they were also convinced that this was a good thing and the right thing to do. And so, they basically said, well, we'll help you any way we can. We love this. This is great. We'll support it. Within a few weeks, they contacted me again and said, we want to have lunch. So they said, we really, really like this, and we think that we want to be part of it and help do it. So they said, how about you come to work for us right now, and let's just do it. Let's make it happen. So that was March of 2021, and we, and they basically became the nonprofit organization to lead that. And we launched and announced it with the mayor, in partnership with the mayor, by April, and we haven't looked back. So that started, that was the beginning of the process of raising the money, finding the land, doing all of the work to make it happen. So
That's
here I
awesome.
am now at, we're 3.5 years later, and we'll be placing our first tiny houses that are already built and complete on site within about 30 days.
Okay, cool. That was my next question, was when will it be completed?
Mm-hmm.
So will the entire like village be, is it like in phases? So when you get a few tiny homes down, will you let people in, or is it once everything's completed then people can join?
It definitely is phases. So
Okay.
as soon as we have these first homes in, and we do have residents already, we have a first step. We have a program that is prior to moving into the village. So instead of just with when people become chronically homeless, there's usually a lot of other issues that have led to that. It's not just financial. It's not just homelessness really is more about, there's a lot of challenges somebody's facing, oftentimes mental health, addiction, generational poverty, just really some deficits that are need to be addressed in order for somebody to be able to be housed, significant permanently, and to stay housed and to stay uh, still be able to maintain a home. And so we have a training program. It's the Other Side Prep School. And it basically is just a life skills, job skills, and, social skills program to get people ready, make sure they're stable with their mental health, their health care. They're prepared to work, all the things they need in order to be able to keep, pay their rent, keep their home, and stay housed. And it's a sober community. So we basically teach our model of peer accountability, peer support, as well as those skills. And so that when somebody is ready to actually graduate from that program and move into one of the homes, that they're able to stay there as long as they want the rest of their life if they so choose. And it's deeply affordable rent. It's only about $400 to $450 a month. So it's, wouldn't you love to find that price in this day and age? So but we want to be able to, it's not free housing. The prep school part is free, but the actual village homes they are deeply affordable, but there is some rent required. And, one of the things that our organization believes in is that it's important for people to participate and to have some accountability, and to, handouts don't fix the problem either. In fact, it actually ends up continuing to exacerbate the problem. So we really help people learn how to take control of their lives, solve problems, make good decisions, take care of, their responsibilities, as well as, making sure they have the support for those things that they need. So that we'll move people in right as soon as we have our first homes in. It's phasing. We'll have a total of 3 phases, but in phase 1, as we move those homes in, we're working with the city on our occupancy permit, that we'll be able to move people in as soon as those units are complete. And they're modular, so they're built already, and we'll just be bringing them on a truck, crane them onto the foundation, and do all the attachments. And once that's done, it'll be like a traditionally built home. It's really just the same structure as you would if you built the house on site, but it just enabled us to have the homes built prior to the land development being completed.
Okay. So they go through the academy, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're essentially sort of approved to live within the village. And you said that they can live there as long as they want. Does that mean that it's not transitional housing? Like, the idea is that through the academy, they get the skills they need, so then they feel like they're comfortable, and then they can live in the village, but then it's just them living in the village. So the chronic homelessness part is just like a precursor to being in the village, but once they're in there, they're not technically homeless anymore. And if the idea isn't for them to move out, that's not sort of part of the sort of like the I guess the overall objective.
No, this is permanent supportive housing. So these are, because we're creating an environment that has the support and the structure and the peer accountability. These are individuals who have a lifetime of struggles and challenges, and so it's not something that's just fixed and you can just go back to. Most of them haven't experienced what we would consider normal life. They've come from generational poverty, often years and sometimes decades of drug abuse. So it's a permanent supportive community focused on really that peer support model. And to be clear, the Other Side Academy and the Other Side Village are 2 separate organizations. The Academy is not part of the village per se. So they come through the prep school, which is our our preparatory program, the academy, is a completely separate 2.5-year program for people coming out of chronic incarceration and addiction. So the academy and village, while related, we have the same from the same foundation, but we are the academy and the village do not mix.
Okay, that makes sense. I haven't really heard of anyone doing this model then this way, because from what I understand, from what I understand, most of the time when like these sort of like housing situations or options are created for people who've experienced homelessness, the goal is for them to not stay there. So I think that that's an interesting model, the idea that like that's the initial point of entry, but the goal is actually for them to just have a home. I hope that that can be replicated, because I do think that while transitional housing has there's good roots to that, it doesn't address the situation in the long term, because then you're still kicking them back into a housing system that is not designed to
Exactly.
support people who've experienced chronic homelessness. Like our housing
Right.
system is not designed to support most of us, let alone people who have been chronically
Yeah.
homeless.
Right.
It's just not affordable enough.
Exactly. And so that is the ideas that we're providing, that's always there for them. They can certainly choose to leave if they wish, if they get to the point where they feel confident and they're ready to move on to something else. But, unless you have a significant income, it's very difficult to afford. In Utah, our rents are astronomical. It's amazing. I've had mine increased over and over and over again. And it gets to the point where you think they're not going to be happy till they've just pushed everybody out.
Yep.
And, it's a little frightening, I think, for people who are on a limited income. How will I ever actually afford to live? And so
Sure.
I think, this move towards smaller homes is a good thing. For so many decades, we've just gone bigger, 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 more, 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 more. And I think the idea of tiny homes is just really, it's popular because I think people are drawn to it for that reason. Is we've gone so far the other way that there's a need to, do something more affordable, smaller, more flexible, all of the things that come with a small home. And so we really think that, creating individual homes for people that are, they're able to have a, like a traditional home, even though they don't own the home, but it's, these homes are individual small homes. And so this is an experience that most of them haven't had or wouldn't have any other way. And we're creating, this concept of the other side village is to create this community that is part. It's not just a house, it's a whole community. It's a way of life. It's a support system. It's a culture. And so that is important for that stability. And, if you just go move into an apartment or a house somewhere else, you don't have all that.
Yeah.
We're really operating this in a way like communities would have been, many, many years ago, when you lived in a small town and you knew all your neighbors and you knew everybody and everybody took care of and watched out. We become so isolated and from each other, even though we might live close to people, we don't have that same connection to our neighbors that we used to. This is a throwback to the old way of living, of being able to count on and rely on people who live next door and down the street, and everybody. And so we believe our peer support model, our peer accountability model, along with this village community concept, is actually the answer to homelessness. Community First Village, their philosophy is that they call it, I believe if I get this right, that homelessness is the result of a profound loss of family. So, and what that means is, not just necessarily your family of birth, but that community is that people become homeless when they have no resources, they have no one to fall back on, no support system. I am fortunate enough to have a large family, many cousins, aunts, uncles, big network of people, many friends that I've known for long periods of time. If I were to get into trouble, if I lost my job, if I had some medical emergency and couldn't work, I have a list as long as mine. Whereas people in this situation don't have that. They've either haven't had that family support network or they've alienated family because of addiction and health issues. And so this is basically to replace that family support system. And some are able to go and reunite with family and repair some relationships if they exist, if the healthy relationships are there. But many don't have it at all. And so this provides that support, that community, and we treat each other like family here. That is the intent, and that is what I saw about Community First Village that immediately felt like what I had been searching for. Is this? It wasn't just a house. Housing alone does not solve homelessness. I know there's a real push for, we just need more houses. We just need more houses. We just need, needs to be more people need connection. We're social animals. And if you do not have meaningful connection with other people and you're isolated and that isn't thriving, that isn't healthy. And that's oftentimes why somebody becomes homeless is they have no support. They have nothing to fall back on. When something happens and they lose, or they've been unable to, make enough income ever to afford a home, they're just on their own. And people who are experiencing homelessness are often isolated and from society as well. They're treated as pariahs and it's undesirable, and make it go away, fix it, those kind of things. And it's just human beings who are in need of some human compassion and assistance. And that's why we created this model. Is it's just different than the housing first model is housing only. There's supposed to be follow-up, case management, but there's never enough staff, there's never enough money. So they get a place to live, but no support. They're cut off again, even from the people they knew on the street, because they're not allowed to have visitors. They can't have your old friends from the street come and stay over. And so the solution is support. That's the actual solution: is the community, the family, that unit of support. That is the difference between just providing a house and providing a home.
Yeah, sure, of course.
We're providing a home, a permanent home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think it's a great model for other people who are interested in creating solutions for housing and homelessness in general. I think it's a good model for people to consider. Can you talk a little bit about
to share it?
Can you talk a little bit about the design of the tiny homes? Like, what is the setup for those, the square footage, and also a little bit about the services that you offer for people that are living there?
Yes, the homes are in phase one. We have two models: a model 100 and model 200, and those units are 320 and 340 square feet. Okay. So they're about the size of a small one-bedroom apartment or a large studio. They have, they've got a bedroom, kitchen, living room area, and full bathroom. And so then we have a shared community center, like a clubhouse. If you were in a condominium or apartment complex, it has the shared meeting space, TV, recreation space, a communal kitchen where the laundry facilities will be. So because we also want to create that support network, we're really designing that they have a lot of interaction by gathering together at the community center, which is similar to what we do here at the prep school. So they have that part, and then they have we have an on-site clinic, a services building where we have medical, mental health, and dental on-site, as well as other community support. We'll have a small grocery store there. Then we have some other social enterprise operations. We're doing community in, like Community First has as well, and where you have tiny homes that are set aside for the general public to come and rent on a day-to-day, through the vacation. And so that will be one of the enterprises that the villagers will be able to work in as well. They'll be able to provide the housekeeping, maintenance, and customer service, as well as the grocery store. And we have some other on-site businesses that the residents are able to be employed by. So we have a donut shop that's just down the street from us, and our actual production facility will be on site in the village. So the village is not just the homes; it's got these other mixed use buildings as well. It's designed to be, a whole community.
Okay. That makes sense. And do you know, like in general, like how? Because it sounds like a really, really great operation. It also sounds really expensive, and I think the funding piece is what keeps some organizations, when they're trying to do solutions for homelessness, they're kind of relying on just donations or volunteers. and that
Right.
that has limits in terms of what people can do, how many homes they can put in, the types of services they can provide. They have to continue to raise funds for their community. What's sort of the, I guess, like the long term goals in terms of like where the financing comes from for something of this size?
So ours is a unique model because that we utilize social enterprises to help fund operations. So our initial funding, the capital funds, came through traditional fundraising through foundations, private donors. We did receive some state funds for from the ARPA money, so that we were able to. Our state funds still they invested in housing, so we applied for those grants and received some of those. So we were able to raise the money through both public and private, and the city is our partner, and they've provided the land. A long-term lease, one of those, long-term lease for the property, and it's a city-owned property. So they are also, not charging impact fees and so that can be really fun. So in this type of thing, it really is important to have the support of your local government, the state, everything, and it should be it generally needs to be a nonprofit to do what we're doing. It's not a for-profit model. This isn't a money-making venture for anybody. This is a social mission, and through utilizing our partnerships with for-profit organizations, we have large construction companies who are donating some or all of their services, units for us. This is something that touches everybody. Is I think something everyone cares about and wants to do something about. So we've had great support from our community, from the business community, from philanthropic donors, to politicians. Everybody wants to see a solution, and they like our approach because it isn't just we aren't just putting people in housing and just keeping the same in and out going that happens in the housing area, where that's kind of what normally happens. Is it's just the same. You just keep paying for the same stuff over and over in shelter, and there's never a solution. There's never a permanent solution to getting people stable and staying stable. And so our approach is different and unique because we use our therapeutic community model, that peer support model, where we actually help people solve the problems. We solve what's the cause. We don't just put a Band-Aid on and say, here's a house, good luck. We work on the whole person, and that whole person approach is what makes us be successful. Our sister organization, Other Side Academy, they've been serving people who go there in lieu of prison, and it's a free program. It's not like traditional therapy where you're paying, exorbitant amounts for 30, 60, 90-day programs. This is free. It's also done it's also a therapeutic community, and people who go there and stay, the success rates for a therapeutic community model, which is that peer accountability and support model, and it's long-term, because solving people's issues isn't you can't do it in 30, 60, 90 days. We're talking about lifetime habits and behaviors that need to be addressed and basically relearned appropriate behavior. And so that takes time. And that program their success rate is in between 70 and 80% of people who complete the program stay housed, crime-free, drug-free, and employed. And traditional treatment success rates 10, 12%. It's tremendously different. And we have found the support for this model of creating a system of actually addressing the whole person and the deficits that have led to where they are is the approach that actually works and fixes the problem, instead of just trying to continually incarcerate, or people go in and out of treatment dozens of times and nothing sticks. And so this approach is unique. There are other organizations that use the therapeutic community model for, like the Academy, but this is the first time we're aware of that somebody's applied it to addressing homelessness, working with the chronic homeless population. So we're applying that same system and same model that's so successful at helping people, break that cycle of addiction and criminality, and to be able to live a productive life, to be a productive law-abiding, contributing citizen. And so using that same model to create housing for the homeless, but it's not just housing, it's the whole program. And, that's really what's different about it. Our goal is to share it with anybody who wants to learn about it and how to do it. Like Community First, who also shares their methods and system. They have a program for people to come and learn about it. And we will as well, because we want people to be able to learn how to do small or big. Our whole village will have about 4 one in Texas. Their plan is to build about 1,500 units total. They're just under 500 now, but they have plans for phase 3, 4, and 5. And we believe that this model is the right way to do it, or something similar to it is the appropriate way to address homeless, unhoused people who need more than a home. They need a family. They need a support system. And so, we hope to be able to share this far and wide with anyone who's interested and wants to learn more.
That's great. That was my last question, actually. It was just, what sort of advice would you have for someone who's considering starting something similar?
Yeah, we're happy to share our expertise and our knowledge, and we have visitors come to the academy all the time, and we will to the village when we have our location set up there when that main building is done, and that will be part of our mission, is to share it with others and to teach others how to do what we've done or something similar. And we've gone all over the world learning from people who have therapeutic communities or tiny home villages, and we just really have been trying to take the best of everything and create the best version that we can based on the experience and knowledge of others. And I think that's a really important thing for people to learn. I mean, that's really what you're doing, right? Sharing information about tiny homes, to share that knowledge and share others. It's through sharing, knowledge that we can help somebody else accomplish what we have.
Yeah, of course. I think that's definitely the point of, I think, for a lot of people that are in the tiny house movement in general. And I think the more that people can learn about just kind of being creative when it comes to housing, because I don't think that the government's going to give us a better housing system. I don't think that developers are going to stop creating unreasonably priced developments. So we all have to sort of get creative in terms of figuring out what to do next. So I do think that what y'all are doing is a good opportunity for people to sort of see like what else is possible. Because I think it could apply beyond just individuals who've experienced homelessness too. So there's some really
absolutely
there.
Yeah. And like I said, I was interested in it for my own self, because housing costs just continue to increase and increase, and we're looking at other ways where we can help build housing for just the general public too. That's something we are exploring, that there are ways we can apply this small home model. We've because we're getting good at doing this, we think, and there are some other developers out there who are trying to focus on doing affordable housing and smaller starter homes. Our state's really focused on that. We just came from a housing conference where they put aside money. They're really trying to encourage developers to do small starter home, affordable size homes. And I just think this tiny home, it's not a fad, it's a trend. I think it's here to stay, is really helping people rethink how we think about housing. It doesn't have to be, massive, giant, super expensive. Most of us can't afford that these days. And in order to be able to make, we don't want people who are living on that edge to fall into homelessness, or to fall into that point where they're having to rely on, living with family or living with somebody else. We want to be able to help create housing, that's for everyone as well. Our first job here is to, complete this village and create this tiny home village to address the chronic homelessness in our state. But, we are really interested in looking at how we can also help build housing that will be available for, for people who need affordable home.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have a timeline for when it'll be completed?
Well, it's a 3-phase project, so it's a multi-year. Phase 1 should be complete by this time next year, and we'll begin the development work on phase 2 during that time, as the remainder of the homes are being completed. about 3/4 of them are built modularly off-site, and 1/4 are being built on-site. So many of those will start construction, the on-site ones, in probably in the spring. So as those are completed, so this time next year, phase 1, and hopefully we'll start development work the next year on phase 2 and phase 3. It just depend on fundraising. We still have to fundraise for the remainder of phase 2 and for phase 3. So those are probably at least 5 years out for total completion.
Got it. Okay, cool. Makes sense. That's not too bad of a timeline, and it's great that you'll be able to get people into the village in the next few months or so. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for people to just be able to eventually come out and see what you all are doing. And I know that anyone watching is going to get a lot out of just learning about just being able to do something in a different way. So I appreciate you taking the time to chat with people, and they'll be able to reach out to you and like check out the website and hopefully come out and check out what y'all are doing.
Well, and on that note, I'd like to invite people to come and visit, because we'll have our 21 units that are available to the public to rent. They'll be available through, Airbnb, Vrbo, all of those. And that purpose is to have people be able to come and visit us. And also those units, we're doing 21 unique, one-of-a-kind units utilizing all kinds of different materials and types. So we're doing everything from a 3D concrete, a log cabin, an A-frame. We're refurbishing a caboose train car, so that'll be really kind of a novelty one. We have a couple of container units, and just a variety of different types. So it's kind of a housing lab to be able to say, oh, here's all these different ways, materials, all alternative, not just traditional construction. There's all these different ways that a home can be built. And so it's kind of an opportunity for people to come and see, the variety as well. And you could stay in any of them. So we'll share, whatever information we can with people if they want to come and, plan to visit and visit with us and learn more. They can come and stay in one of the units, and we'd love to have them. So
that sounds great. That's awesome. So I'm excited for people to be able to go. I mean, just to go to Salt Lake City in general, but they can also check out what you're doing and stay there. I think that's a great opportunity for people. So it's great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Camille. I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks.
That was my conversation with Camille. I appreciate Camille taking the time to walk us through the inspiration for the Other Side Village, the design of the tiny homes, the focus on social enterprise. Make sure you reach out to Camille if you have any questions. Links to everything that they're doing, the social media, and you can check them out more when you, if you want to go and check out the Airbnbs once those are done as well too. So thank you again, Camille, for taking the time to chat with us. If you're new to the channel, please take time to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. Make sure that you drop a comment if you have any questions or anything that you want to see. And as always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch everything. And don't forget to think tiny. I'll see you in the next one.